You are about to do something that over half the human population on Earth does not do. You have done it thousands of times. It shows up in every romantic movie, every love song, every wedding ceremony across dozens of cultures. And when scientists sat down and actually tried to explain why your brain decided that pressing your lips against another person's lips means love, they discovered something that nobody expected. The origin of kissing is not romantic, it is not poetic, and it started tens of millions of years before any human being ever existed. Here is what makes this genuinely strange. From a pure biological standpoint, kissing should not exist. Every time you kiss someone, you are exchanging roughly 80 million bacteria. You are creating a direct pathway for viruses, infections, and pathogens to transfer between two bodies. The act itself carries measurable biological risk with no obvious survival benefit. No extra calories, no protection from predators, no increase in the chance of survival. And yet across 21 million years of primate evolution, kissing never disappeared. Something kept it alive. And in November 2025, a research team at the University of Oxford published the most detailed evolutionary analysis of kissing ever conducted, tracing it further back than anyone had previously believed. What they found changes the way you will think about this behavior every single time you experience it. To understand where kissing came from, you have to go back to the great apes, not humans, not Neanderthals. Back to the common ancestor that humans, chimpanzees, gorillas, and bonobos all share. In that ancient population, social bonding between individuals involved a ritual called grooming. One animal would move through another's fur, picking out parasites, debris, and dead skin with careful precision. This behavior served a clear hygienic function, but it also served a social one. Grooming communicated trust. It communicated safety. It was how ancient primates told each other, without language, that they were not a threat. And at the very end of a grooming session, as the behavior wound down, the grooming animal would press their lips against the skin or fur of the other, making a slight suction motion, a final physical gesture that signaled the bond was complete. That gesture, that specific movement of the lips pressing against another body in a moment of closeness, is what eventually became kissing. The theory is called the groomer's final kiss hypothesis, and it proposes that as human ancestors gradually lost body fur over hundreds of thousands of years, the practical grooming behavior faded away. There was no longer fur to pick through, no longer the same ritualistic process, but the final moment, that closing gesture of lips to skin that had been associated with safety, trust, and social bonding for millions of years, that part never went away. It was already too deeply embedded in the neurology of primate affection, so it survived without the behavior that originally created it, becoming its own signal, untethered from grooming entirely, carrying only the emotional weight of what that final moment had always communicated. This is why a kiss from a stranger feels meaningless or even uncomfortable, while the same physical action from someone you trust feels completely different. You are not just registering a physical sensation. You are activating a neurological program that is millions of years old, one that was designed to signal the deepest possible level of social trust between two individuals. The physical motion is ancient. What it means has simply been translated across millions of years into the language of modern human emotion. Now, here is where this gets more complicated. Because kissing is not universal. The 2025 Oxford research confirmed what earlier anthropological studies had found. Roughly 46% of human cultures studied do not practice romantic kissing at all. Not as a rule they chose to break, not as something they abandoned, simply as something that was never part of how their culture expressed intimacy in the first place. In some cultures, the equivalent gesture involves pressing foreheads together. In others, it is a gentle touch of noses. In others, it is simply prolonged physical closeness without any specific lip contact gesture at all. This tells us something important. The physical behavior itself is ancient and primate-wide, but the specific romantic meaning attached to kissing is not universal in humans. It was invented, refined, and spread through certain cultures over time, while other cultures developed different physical languages for the same emotional content. The science of what happens in the brain during a kiss adds another layer. When two people kiss, the brain releases a cascade of neurochemicals. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, is released in both people simultaneously. Dopamine spikes, creating a reward signal that makes the brain associate the act with pleasure and seek it again. Cortisol levels drop in sustained kissing, which measurably reduces stress. The brain is running a full social bonding protocol that was originally designed for primate grooming sessions, now triggered by the vestigial final gesture of that ancient behavior. The neurological hardware is the same. The context has changed completely, and Neanderthals kissed. The Oxford research concluded from DNA evidence and fossil record analysis that Neanderthals, who coexisted with modern humans for thousands of years, very likely practiced kissing too. The evidence that humans and Neanderthals exchanged oral microbes through saliva transfer, combined with confirmed evidence of interbreeding between the two species, strongly suggests that kissing was part of how these two groups interacted. Between 1 and 4% of the DNA of every non-African person alive today came from Neanderthals. That genetic exchange required physical intimacy, and the behavior that facilitated it was already millions of years old by the time it happened. So the next time you kiss someone, the full picture is this. You are performing the final gesture of an ancient primate grooming ritual that is approximately 21 million years old. Your brain is releasing the same bonding chemicals that ancient apes released during social grooming sessions long before your species existed. The specific romantic meaning you attach to it is a cultural invention that not every human civilization arrived at independently. And the fact that it survived across so many millions of years of evolution, despite carrying real biological risk and no obvious survival advantage, tells you exactly how powerful the social bonding function of that original final gesture must have been. Evolution does not keep things around without a reason, and the reason kissing survived is the same reason grooming survived before it. Because for a social species, communicating trust to another individual might be the most important thing you ever do.